In every story, there's a voice. In every moment, there's a journey. Welcome to Amazu TV, where stories inspire, knowledge empowers, and entertainment comes alive. Subscribe and be part of the experience. History remembers kings and heroes, but every day, millions of mothers make silent sacrifices that the world never sees. She wasn't famous, she wasn't rich, but every sacrifice she made kept her family standing. Her love became the strength that carried them through life's hardest days. Some heroes are celebrated with applause, others carry heavy responsibilities in silence. Grace never asked for recognition, she simply chose her family every single day. Before the city woke up, Grace was already on her feet. Every new day began with hard work, quiet sacrifice, and an unshakable love for her children. Her body cried out for rest, but a mother's duty could not wait. No matter the pain or exhaustion, Grace rose to care for the ones who needed her most. These hands never built towering skyscrapers. Instead, they built something even greater, a brighter future, shaped by sacrifice, hard work, and a mother's endless love.
Before thinking of herself, Grace always put her children first. Their happiness, their future, and their well meant more to her than anything she could ever want.
Every movement she made was filled with care. Each morning began not with complaints, but with love, quiet strength, and the determination to give her children a better life. Sometimes, hope begins with the smallest flame. And in a mother's heart, even the tiniest spark can light the way to a brighter tomorrow for her children. There wasn't much food on the table, but there was always plenty of love. A mother's heart has a way of making even the smallest meal feel like enough. She counted every grain of rice with a heavy heart, knowing there wasn't enough for everyone. Like many mothers, she quietly chose to go without so her children could eat.
With a gently smile, she said, "I've already eaten." It was a quiet sacrifice she made almost every day so her children would never have to go hungry.
Thank you, Mama. It's so good. Love you.
People noticed the heavy bags she carried each day, but no one saw the even heavier burdens she carried quietly in her heart for her family.
Every journey tested her strength with hardship and discomfort. But giving up was never an option, because her children were the reason she kept moving forward. She set aside her own dreams to carry life's responsibility. Instead of buying new shoes for herself, she mended the old ones and kept working for her children's future. She made every meal go farther than it should, quietly sacrificing her own portion so her children would never carry the full weight of poverty. Her son's dreams became her daily motivation. Every sacrifice, every struggle, and every new sunrise gave her another reason to keep fighting for his future. She had little to give, but she believed education was the greatest inheritance. More than wealth, she wanted her daughter to have knowledge, hope, and a brighter future. To little Joshua, Mama could solve every problem with a smile. He never realized the silent pain and heavy burdens she carried deep inside her heart. She walked for miles just to save a few naira. To others, they were small coins. To Grace, each one was another step toward her children's dreams. Inside that tiny savings box were more than just a few naira. It held school fees, hope for tomorrow, and the unshakable faith of a mother who never gave up. As the market came alive, Grace carefully arranged her vegetables. To others, it was just another day's work. To her, every customer brought her children closer to a brighter future. To many, they were only tomatoes and peppers. But to Grace, every sale meant another meal for her family and another reason to believe tomorrow would be better.
Some customers bargained without mercy, but Grace never lost her patience. "These tomatoes, how much?" "For you, 200 naira. Ah, too much. 150. 150 tikonti take on."
The scorching sun drained her strength, yet Grace kept going. Her body was tired, but a mother's determination was stronger than the exhaustion she carried every day.
Without warning, the world around Grace began to spin. She fought to stay on her feet, hiding her weakness from everyone around her. When another trader asked if she was okay, Grace simply smiled and said, "I'm fine."
Behind those words was a silent pain that no one ever noticed. That evening, Daniel rushed home with exciting news. As she listened, Grace's heart filled with pride, knowing her son's dream was finally within reach. Then came the registration fee. Grace kept smiling, but deep inside, she wondered how she would find the money to keep her son's dream alive. Without hesitation, Grace promised Daniel he would go. A mother's love gives hope first, trusting that somehow a way will always be found. Late that night, Grace sat beneath the stars, holding her little savings box. Inside was just 3,000 naira, but on her shoulders rested the weight of an entire family's future.
As Grace gazed into the night sky, she made a silent promise to herself. No matter the sacrifice, she would never let her children's dreams fade away.
That night, sleep never came to Grace. With only a few naira in her savings box, she quietly wondered how she would keep the promise he had made to her son.
Again and again, Grace counted the money in her hands. No matter how often she tried, it was never enough to pay Daniel's school fees and keep his dream alive.
With no one else to turn to, Grace knelt down in prayer. She trusted God to open a way, even when every door before her seemed closed. Her eyes rested on the wedding ring her late husband had given her. It was more than a piece of gold. It carried years of love, memories, and cherished promises. Grace knew the choice before her was heartbreaking. Holding on to the ring meant preserving precious memories, but letting it go could protect her son's future. Every step toward the pawn shop felt heavier than the last. Though her heart was breaking, Grace kept walking, determined to secure a better future for her son. With trembling hands, Grace placed her wedding ring on the counter. In that painful moment, she chose her son's future over the precious memories she held so dearly. The money she received was small, but to Grace, it meant everything. It was enough to keep her son's dream alive and his future within reach. At home, Daniel studied with hope and determination, unaware of the painful sacrifice his mother had made to keep his dream alive and his future bright. Grace quietly placed the remaining money back into her savings box. Some of the greatest sacrifices are made in silence, never expecting recognition or praise from anyone. The next morning, Grace returned to the market with a gentle smile. Though her heart was heavy, she refused to let anyone see the pains he carried inside. When hunger came, Grace drank only water and carried on. She quietly denied herself, making sure her children would always have something to eat. With grateful hands, Grace paid Daniel's registration fee. It was more than money, it was the priceless sacrifice of a mother determined to secure her son's future.
As Grace held the receipt, tears filled her eyes. It looked like ordinary paper, but to her, it was proof that a mother's love had made another dream possible.
As Grace walked home, a quiet smile filled her face. Her heart felt lighter, knowing another door had opened for her son's future. Daniel hugged his mother with a grateful smile. He never knew that behind her embrace were countless sacrifices made quietly to give him a brighter tomorrow.
Grace quietly hid her left hands from her children. They never noticed the missing ring, but to her, it told a powerful story of love and sacrifice.
True love never waits for applause or recognition. It gives without counting the cost, sacrifices in silence, and keeps believing even when no one is watching. As the sun slipped beyond the horizon, Grace thanked God for another day. She knew tomorrow would bring new challenges, but also fresh hope for her family. That night, Daniel slept peacefully, dreaming of a brighter future. Grace smiled quietly, knowing a mother's greatest joy is seeing her children dream without fear. As the sun slowly set, Grace closed her market stall. Though the day was over, she knew another night of sacrifice was only just beginning. Grace counted the few naira she had earned that day. Every note in her hands was a reminder of the hard work and silent sacrifices she made for her family. The bus was crowded and uncomfortable, but Grace endured the journey with patience. She knew that at the end of it, her family was waiting for her. With tired feet and an empty basket, Grace started the long walk home. Despite her exhaustion, her heart longed to be with the children waiting for her hands. The moment Grace arrived, little Joshua ran straight into her arms. In that warm embrace, the weariness of the day melted away, replaced by a mother's joy.
Mama Grace, my Joshua.
When no one was watching, Grace gently held her aching back. She carried her pain in silence, never allowing her children to see the burden she bore every day. Grace served the evening meal with love and a gentle smile. Though the food was simple, sharing it together made it a feast filled with warmth and gratitude. Grace watched her children eat with quiet joy. Seeing them satisfied meant more to her than filling her own empty stomach.
It's so good, Mama. Thank you.
Despite her exhaustion, Grace patiently helped Esther with her homework. She believed education was the key that would unlock a brighter future for her children. Grace encouraged Daniel to keep studying with all his heart. She believed every sacrifice they made today would become tomorrow's success. Little Joshua drifted peacefully to sleep in his mother's arms. In her embrace, he found the safety, comfort, and love that every child longs for.
Long after her children had fallen asleep, Grace quietly watched over them. Her tired eyes reflected gratitude, knowing they were safe and at peace.
While the house slept peacefully, Grace quietly began another night of hard work. Without a single complaint, she carried the burdens no one else could see. Beneath the quiet moonlight, Grace washed clothes by hand. Every bucket she finished was another step toward providing a better life for her family. Though her hands were tired, they never stopped working. Grace drew strength from one purpose: to give her children a better tomorrow. Her hands were cracked, and her body was exhausted. But a mother's love gave Grace the strength to rise above every hardship and keep moving forward. For a brief moment, Grace stopped to catch her breath. Then she carried on, because she knew tomorrow's needs would never wait for her to rest. Grace looked up at the quiet night sky with hope in her heart. She believed that no matter today's struggles, tomorrow could bring a brighter day. While the neighborhood slept peacefully, Grace worked alone through the night. No one saw the quiet sacrifices she made to give her children a better future. As Grace hung the freshly washed clothes, a gentle smile crossed her face. Even the smallest task carried the hope of a brighter tomorrow for her family. When the work was finally done, Grace let a few quiet tears fall. They were tears of exhaustion, sacrifice, and a love that asked for nothing in return. Beneath the moonlit sky, a single tear rolled down Grace's face. It carried the silent weight of years spent loving, sacrificing, and never giving up. Just before dawn, Grace lay beside her sleeping children at last. She closed her eyes, knowing another day of sacrifice would begin with the rising sun. As morning drew near, Grace smiled at her sleeping children. A mother's love never truly rests, it simply gathers strength for another day of sacrifice. Before the sun rose, Grace was already on her feet. Every new morning was another opportunity to fight for the future her children deserved. Grace carefully arranged her vegetables with hope in her heart. As she prepared for the day, she prayed that today's sales would be enough to feed her family. Before leaving home,
Grace looked at her sleeping children and whispered a quiet prayer.
their future was the reason she never stopped fighting. As Grace walked toward the market, dark clouds gathered overhead. She knew the day might be difficult, but she refused to turn back. The first drops of rain began to fall, but Grace held her basket tightly. No storm could stop a mother determined to provide for her children. Soon, the rain poured down without mercy, sending customers running for cover. But Grace stood her ground, believing every storm would eventually pass. Grace quickly covered her vegetables with plastic to shield them from the rain. Every tomato she saved was another meal, another hope for her children. Hours passed with almost no customers in sight. As the day slipped away, Grace watched her hopes of earning enough slowly fade with it. Once again, Grace chose hunger instead of comfort. Every naira she saved was an investment in her children's future and a brighter tomorrow. Hunger and exhaustion weakened Grace's body, but they could not break her spirit. A mother's love gave her the strength to keep moving forward. An elderly woman saw Grace's struggle and offered her a bottle of water.
Thank you.
Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness brings the greatest comfort. Grace accepted the kindness with a grateful smile. Even in the middle of hardship, she never stopped thanking God for His faithfulness. When the rain finally stopped, Grace counted her spoiled vegetables. Though the loss was painful, she refused to let go of the hope that tomorrow would be better. With a nearly empty basket, Grace started the long walk home. Though her feet were weary, her spirit remained strong, refusing to give up on her family. When her children asked about the day, Grace simply smiled and said,
God will provide.
Behind that smile, she quietly carried burdens only faith could bear. Daniel noticed the sadness hidden in his mother's eyes. Though she spoke no words, he could feel the weight she carried every single day. Late that night, Grace opened her purse and found only a few lonely coins. Still, she held on to hope, believing better days were ahead. Grace knelt once again in quiet prayer. She asked not for riches, but for the strength to face another day with courage and faith. Even as life grew harder, Grace never stopped believing. Her faith stood stronger than every storm, carrying her through each new challenge. Without telling anyone, Daniel made a quiet decision. It was time to help carry the burden his mother had borne alone for so many years. In the quiet of the night, Daniel made himself a promise. One day, he would honor every sacrifice his mother had made for their family. Exhaustion finally caught up with Grace. She fell asleep in her chair, her weary body too tired to make it to her bed. As Grace slept, Daniel and Esther gently covered her with a blanket. Without saying a word, they thanked the mother who had given them everything. As they looked at their mother, the children began to understand her silent sacrifices. Some acts of love are too deep for words alone. Morning light filled the room once again. With every sunrise, Grace found new hope and another reason to keep fighting for her children's future.
Thank you for watching Omazu TV. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay inspired, stay informed, and stay entertained. This is Omazu TV.